Awesome. So, said you were doing some strength conditioning before we got started here. What have you been hitting, and frequency, days a week? How long are those workouts? What are you doing for them? What's that look like?
So pretty much I'm still doing physical therapy for my elbow. I'm on the tail end. I probably got about 2 weeks left. So Monday, Wednesday, Friday, I'm doing that about an hour, and then maybe they'll wrap me up with some soft tissue work and send me on my way for my strength and conditioning. And then on Tuesdays and Thursdays, so basically I'm doing like a upper lower split right now, upper body rehab.
Mhm.
Basically had to rehab my whole upper body.
Yeah.
So and then Tuesdays, Thursdays is more lower body, and then I'm getting in my low base cardio on Tuesday, and then Thursday I get my high intensity.
And on those lower base cardio days, what does that look like from what you're doing to how long you're going? Are you monitoring your heart rate? Are you just kind
Yep.
of going for a pace? How are you doing that?
Yeah, so on my lower base, I just typically tend to go for a walk. I try to separate this, do it on an empty stomach, fast it a little bit. I'll just walk anywhere from 30 minutes to an hour around town. I call it my victory lap. And I have my Fitbit. I keep track of my heart rate through that. I typically try not to go above 120 on my heart rate, stay beneath that, so I can, to the point where I'm still talking, I'm able to still talk. Yeah.
Yeah, and then what about your high intensity? Where are you getting your heart rate for that, and how long are you staying in that zone?
Oh, see, when I go intense, I go intense. I have this thing. I have been doing a lot of mental training as well, and I've been doing a lot of mantras. And on my high intensity runs, no puke, no prize. So I'll run. Typically, I've noticed I can get my heart rate up to about 198 to 194 before I start yakking.
Mhm.
So I try to keep it around like 186 and try not to get out of hand above that.
And how long are you staying at that kind of that threshold of the 180 to 190?
180, probably like I try to get it for like 10 minutes, but
Hmm.
it doesn't always work really. It depends how much I slept, how much I ate, if I trained earlier that day.
Gotcha.
But
And do
typically, yeah,
you
minutes.
do you talk about sleeping, eating, things like that? Do you use any kind of technology to monitor your recovery? Like Garmin has the body battery, Whoop has the recovery percentage, whatever it's called. How do you know that you're recovered and able to push like that?
Uh, um, Typically, I've been doing a lot of just research. I've been listening to a lot of podcasts on Phil DeRue, the American Top Team strength and conditioning coach. I've listened to a lot of TJ Dillashaw. He actually inspired me to start looking at my heart rate a little bit more, because he talks about how he uses the recovery with his heart rate and how he's waking up in the morning, depending on where his heart rate rests. That's where he finds out, what he's going to do with his day. I'd like to get a Whoop. That's something that I've looked at. As far right now, I'm just using the heart rate monitor and playing it off of how I feel. I've been doing this for quite a long time. I got a good feel for my body.
Gotcha. And it is, something that I think a lot of people don't really understand with athletes is it's so individualized, right? Like
Mm-hmm.
your baseline to your threshold and the different variability in your heart rate is going to be much different than somebody who could be the exact same size
Yeah.
as you with the same strength, all those different things. So for you to be able to kind of monitor that and know when you can push, when you got to take a light day, things like that, I think it really aids in your ability to increase your VO2 max, lower your resting heart rate, all in the, I think, overall goal to bring your heart rate down the max amount of beats per minute in those 1 minute rests between rounds, right?
Yeah.
You
Yeah.
be able to sit on the stool or stand with your hands over, whatever you like to do between rounds, and go from 170 to 100 or whatever that may be.
Mm-hmm.
So with that being said, do you monitor your heart rate between sparring rounds, between rolling rounds, things like that? Have you gotten to the point where you do it during training?
See, I tried to do that a little bit earlier, but with the Fitbit, it's a little bit difficult because there's rubbing on, like my wrist got irritated and things of. Oh, you still there?
Yep, we're good. Yeah.
All right. Sorry, I got a call there. I think, where was I at? Sorry.
Yeah, the Fitbit with irritating your wrist during training.
Oh yeah. So like I tried to do it while I was rolling. That did not work. It flew off like in the first minute. So I tried to do it with my like bag work, things of that nature, and that's when I started getting irritated on my wrist. So I really don't monitor my training sessions anymore outside of strength and conditioning.
Gotcha. Okay. Yeah. I mean, if it is something that you would still, be interested in, I
Hmm.
use it's called the Polar OH. I use it. Christian Carr uses it, a guy that I train with, and goes on your bicep. So you can
Okay.
kind of wear it high, and it's only the size of about a quarter. And you can tuck it
Oh,
inside your bicep and then wear like a long sleeve rash guard. And mine doesn't typically move around or come off.
perfect.
So when we're done here, I'll send you a link just in case you want to check it out. But it helped a lot with me being able to monitor my heart rate during rolling and sparring.
Oh, that's awesome. Yeah, I'd appreciate that.
Yeah, for sure. And then you said, after we're done here, you're gonna go around 6 o'clock. You're gonna do some drilling. So what does that
Mhm.
look like?
Tuesdays, Thursdays, and Sundays, I drill for a few hours. Typically, I'll break it up. Tuesdays is more wrestling and transitioning from strikes into grappling. So more grappling based, really. Thursdays is more of like today, we're going to do a lot more striking and a lot more jujitsu, maybe not so much MMA based, more segregated. Then Thursday or Sunday is another MMA drilling day. Lots of transitional work, things of that nature.
And when you're doing the transitional work, are you wearing little gloves through the whole session?
Mm-hmm.
You
Yep.
are. And then what about your days when you separate like kind of the striking and the jujitsu? Are you wearing big 16 ounces for striking and then jujitsu with no gloves, or how do you break that out?
So for jujitsu or grappling, if you will, we always wear gloves at my gym. Ever since I was 13, I've been grappling with gloves, striking, throwing strikes on the ground. So we always have the gloves on, the small gloves for grappling. For striking, we keep the bigger gloves. Head, well, not really headgear. We're just drilling. Shin
Mhm.
guards. I just invested in some elbow pads, preserving this elbow.
Yeah, good.
Throw a little more elbow strikes since I'm looking to turn pro here probably within the next year.
Awesome. And with you said you've been wearing pretty much since you're 13 those small gloves. Do you have
Yeah.
a preferred brand or style of gloves since you've been using them for that long?
Uh, I really like Venom's stuff. I used a lot of their stuff since I was a kid. I still have a lot like their bigger gloves. For the gloves that I have, the MMA gloves, I've been using Sanibel for the past year, and they're all right. They get the job done. Not my favorite, but for the price, you really can't beat it.
Yeah, you can't. And that's usually the Sanibel gis are always the first gis that I tell people to buy if they're, not sure about how long they're going to stay in jiu-jitsu because they're, a pretty good quality gi,
Hmm.
for $65. So you can't really beat it and they get there in two
Yeah,
days. um,
yeah.
I saw you posted on Facebook the other day a picture after one of your victories. I believe it was from like 2016,
Hmm.
about 4 years ago. And you said, you're still hungry, fire's still inside. Um, through quarantine, not a lot of people have been fighting yourself. You haven't really been fighting it. Plus, you had the elbow injury. So, are you getting the itch to get back in the cage? Are you ready to compete?
Oh, 110%. I have to reel it back every single day of training. I just want to go. I'm ready to be back in there. It's getting to the point where, like mentally, I'm there. I'm there. I just need my body to cooperate with me and to be able to withstand going through a camp, being in fight shape, and taking those impacts really with kicks. That's my main concern. I'm doing a lot of kick defense, taking those impacts, making sure I'm getting that confidence in it to take the damage that it'll be taken.
Now, have you been cleared for full contact?
Yeah. So I want to say, what is that? October, late August, I got cleared for contact for sparring. And even throwing, like we did like these blocks where, okay, for a few weeks I'm going 50%, that's it,
Mhm.
see how we feel, play it by ear. And then probably last month I finally got to spar, got cleared to spar,
Mhm.
which was really nice.
Yeah, and it seems like it's one of those injuries where your physical therapist and everybody kind of says, "All right, like you're good to go," and it's more of you now trusting your body, taking those kicks,
Mhm.
realizing that you can take the impact. If somebody throws one of those kicks, especially with you talking about going pro, no more shin guards. So just really being confident in your ability to, go out there and trust it.
Hmm.
How far do you think you are from that, percentage wise? Are you, 80%, 90%?
Oh, I'm close. I think that's why
Yeah, good.
there I'm probably like 92%. The only thing really lacking that I can feel is my pulling strength when I'm in on a double. Sucking those legs in is a little bit harder than it used to be. Um, and throwing that straight, it's a little slow. So I got to get that back up to speed. But it's just small things. I'm pretty happy with where I'm at.
Good. So your recovery, you said you feel about 92%, and you
Yeah.
mentioned earlier about, making a pro debut within the next calendar year, sometime next year, you said?
Yeah, probably like late 2021. Like I said in the previous interview, I want to move to California. I still don't want to turn pro until I'm over there.
Mhm. And do you plan on making or taking any more fights, here on the East Coast beforehand, or
Oh yeah.
you
Yep.
are? Okay. Do you
Yep.
have
I'd like
anything
to
lined
take at
up?
least
Have you talked to
2 more.
anybody?
Mm-mm. I don't want to put my name in the hat just because I know what type of person I am. I don't want to put my name in that. I don't want to put my name in the hat until at least till January 1st, 2021. That's the deadline I'm setting for myself. At least hold off into then. So yeah, pretty much these next 2 months, I'm just treating as getting my body ready.
Good. Yeah, and I think you said you're there mentally now, right? And I
Hmm.
think that's one of the bigger hurdles sometimes for people is getting over that mental hump or getting back into the swing of things mentally. And if you're ready to go now, mentally, the body will catch up and it will adapt, and you can kind of push it to do whatever you want it to do when you want it to do it, which is kind of the fun part of training and getting in that fight
Yeah,
camp. If your brain's there, then your body will catch up.
exactly. And that's like I'm just ready to be thrown it. Like mentally, I'm ready to be thrown into that camp, but I know my body just won't.
Mhm.
It's just not gonna. Not 6 months after a freaking reconstruction.
Yeah, absolutely. And I don't think many people would even expect you to do it 12 months in, but that's kind of the difference in mentality of, a fighter and then somebody who's, a weekend warrior,
Yeah.
cyclist or whatever that may be. Um, Now, when you move out to California, I know we talked previously. Do you have a camp set up out there? You're going to be living with family, you had said. So, are they waiting your arrival? Are they like expecting you at a certain time? Or are they just kind of like, hey, Oscar, whenever you come out, we'll see you then. We'll be happy to see you.
Yeah, pretty much. I mean, I stay in contact with him and we still talk and
Mhm.
things of that nature. But as far as like a camp, um, we're learning the
Mhm.
more that my dad's talking, because we're all from California.
Mhm.
The more that my dad's talking with his friends and his friend that in California Cage Wars, the more we're learning that like we have ties with people up over at Alliance. My dad knows some people. Um, the arena, my uncle, he was a Marine, former Marine. A few of his like people in his, what do you call them? His
Battalion.
Yeah, battalion. A few of those people train up at the arena in San Diego. Josh Aaron, somebody I cross train with, he has a boxer up there that trains at the arena. I'm really interested in the arena. I'd like to go over there. Chris Lieben's coaching over there. Uh, that's what I'm looking at. Joe, a guy over at Cali Cage Wars, he says he'll take care of me, and so I put a lot of trust into him and what he says.
Good, man. We're looking forward to it. I'm glad we got to sit down and kind of chat, see that your elbow's healing up well.
Mm-hmm.
I won't take up too much more of your time. Though you got to go and get some drilling in later. We're looking forward to you, getting back in the cage early 2021 and then making that pro debut when you get out to California.
Thank you.
Awesome, Oscar. It was great talking to you. We'll see you soon.
Yeah, you too.
All right.
Take it easy.
You too.